Warriors fans, I want you to think about one very specific offensive action for a moment because it explains everything about why today's news makes so much sense. The dribble handoff. For over a decade, the single most lethal, most impossible to defend action in Golden State's entire offensive system has been Steph Curry receiving a handoff from a smart, high IQ big man at the elbow, using a screen to gain a half step of separation before either shooting or attacking downhill. For years, that action was run through Draymond Green, and it terrorized defenses. But Draymond is 36 now, and while his basketball IQ remains elite, his physical burden across a full season has to be managed more carefully than ever. And at 2:04 this afternoon, on a live First Take Now cut-in, Shams Charania told the entire basketball world that Golden State had found the single most natural answer to exactly that specific concern. Domantas Sabonis is walking through the door. Traded from the Sacramento Kings to the Golden State Warriors. Before you scroll off, I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the specific statistics Shams referenced about Sabonis' career handoff numbers that told every offensive analyst watching exactly why Steve Kerr views this as close to a perfect system fit. I'm also going to tell you what Steph Curry did on his own podcast, released within the hour, that has told this fanbase exactly how excited he genuinely is about this specific pairing. Stay with me. Do not click off. Here's how it went down. Molly Karam is running First Take Now, discussing Summer League standouts, when the control room clearly interrupts with real urgency. She stops. We're going to Shams right now. This is breaking, and they cut. Shams delivers, and this is the direct transcript. I want to explain why Golden State specifically pursued Sabonis over other available frontcourt options, because it's a genuinely precise system fit rather than a generic star acquisition. My understanding is that Steve Kerr's coaching staff has tracked Sabonis' career handoff statistics closely for years, recognizing him as one of the highest efficiency dribble handoff operators among all NBA centers, a skill set that maps almost perfectly onto exactly the specific action that has defined Golden State's offense throughout the Curry era. Once Sacramento's medical clearance on his knee came through in the last 2 weeks, Mike Dunleavy Jr. moved directly, offering a package built around expiring salary and draft compensation. This deal is agreed to. It reflects a genuinely surgical, system-specific pursuit rather than a broad market chase. Read that back. A genuinely surgical, system-specific pursuit rather than a broad market chase. That is Shams distinguishing this particular acquisition from a generic star hunting exercise, explaining that Golden State targeted Sabonis specifically because his statistical profile matches their exact offensive system, not because he was simply the best available name. And within the hour, as I promised, Steph Curry addressed it directly on his own podcast, and this reaction carries genuine specificity. Man, I've studied this guy's handoff numbers for years. Genuinely some of the best in the league at reading exactly when to hit the roll, when to hand it off, when to relocate himself for a shot. This is the exact kind of big man brain I need running actions with me at this stage of my career. I'm not being polite here. I'm genuinely thrilled about this specific skill set walking into our building. Read that back. I've studied this guy's handoff numbers for years. That is Curry independently confirming the exact statistical basis Shams cited in his original report. A superstar player publicly validating that this specific system fit reasoning is not just a reporter's analysis, but something he personally has recognized and appreciated about Sabonis' game for a long time. Now, the whiplash, because I know exactly what you're thinking. Golden State is hard capped. They just added multiple pieces earlier this summer. How do they have room to add another significant contract on top of everything else? And here's the honest answer, and it requires understanding that this specific acquisition, according to Shams' reporting, was constructed using expiring salary and draft compensation rather than any complex cap space mechanism, meaning it primarily required real, tangible assets rather than pure financial flexibility, which is exactly the kind of currency a front office can generate through smart asset management across a full offseason rather than needing a single complicated cap trick. Stay with me, because once you understand exactly how precisely Sabonis' game maps onto what this specific offense has always needed most, this stops looking like roster excess and starts looking like the single cleanest system fit available anywhere on the market this summer. 3 reasons Shams was this confident. Reason 3 is where the reveal lands. Reason number 1. Draymond Green at 36 remains an elite basketball mind, but his physical burden across an 82-game season plus a genuine playoff run has become a real, ongoing management concern for Kerr's coaching staff. Sabonis provides a genuine, high-level alternative operator for exactly the same handoff and playmaking actions Draymond has run for years, allowing Kerr to distribute that specific offensive responsibility across two players, rather than asking one aging star to carry the full burden every single game. Reason number 2. And this is the tactical detail specific to why this pairing genuinely elevates Golden State's rebounding, an area that has quietly been a real structural concern for multiple seasons. Sabonis is one of the most dominant rebounders at his position in the entire NBA, a specific statistical strength that directly addresses a documented weakness in Golden State's recent roster construction. Adding elite rebounding to an already elite playmaking skill set in the same single player is precisely the kind of two birds one stone acquisition that smart front offices specifically hunt for. And before I get to reason 3, because reason 3 is the specific statistic Shams referenced, talk to me in the comments. Warriors fans, real question. Does the specific handoff system fit excite you more than a generic star addition would? Or do you think the rebounding and health concerns still make this a genuine gamble regardless of the tactical logic? I think Dub Nation is going to have real split opinions on this, and I want to read them. Go. Reason number 3. The statistic. Ready? One of the highest efficiency dribble handoff operators among all NBA centers. Read that back. That is not a general basketball compliment. That is a specific trackable film and analytics-based statistical category that Kerr's coaching staff has apparently monitored specifically because it maps directly onto their own offensive system's core action. When an insider cites a precise statistical category, not he's a good passer, but specifically dribble handoff efficiency, a metric most casual fans have never even heard of, that level of granular, system-specific detail confirms genuine sourcing from inside a coaching staff's actual analytical process, not a generic scouting report repackaged as breaking news. Now, the skeptic, Stephen A. Smith, still processing the specificity of the fit, found his footing to question the broader picture. But you're telling me the Warriors, an already hard-capped, aging roster, are adding another significant contract and a guy coming off knee surgery who played 19 games last year? At what point does this roster become a full hospital ward with a really nice offensive system? Curry is 38. You cannot keep adding health question marks to an already fragile core. And listen, Stephen A. This cumulative health risk concern across this roster is genuinely worth taking seriously, especially layered onto an already aging core with its own documented health considerations. But here's the counter, and it's specifically about role management rather than raw accumulation of risk. Sabonis is not being asked to be a full-time, heavy minutes anchor carrying the defense. He is walking into a role specifically designed around his elite offensive processing, with minutes managed carefully to protect his recovering knee across a full season. Golden State's specific coaching philosophy, built around load management and situational deployment for years with Curry himself, is precisely equipped to handle exactly this kind of careful, protective integration. Stephen A. is counting bodies with recent injuries. Kerr is designing specific protective roles for each of them. Here's the part of this story with genuine basketball elegance to it. Domantas Sabonis has spent his entire career being one of the most statistically brilliant offensive big men in the league, repeatedly generating elite advanced numbers on teams that, for various reasons, could never fully translate that individual brilliance into deep playoff success. Walking into a genuinely proven, championship-tested system with Steve Kerr, a coach whose entire offensive philosophy has always specifically valued exactly the connector big archetype Sabonis represents, gives him access to the single system in the entire league most naturally designed to maximize his specific gifts. But I owe you the honest risk. Adding a recently injured 30-year-old center's real salary commitment onto an already tightly constrained, hard-capped roster genuinely limits Golden State's remaining flexibility for the rest of this season and beyond. And if the knee recovery doesn't hold up as smoothly as the recent medical clearance suggests, this becomes a genuinely difficult financial commitment to manage. So let me bring it home. Domantas Sabonis to the Warriors matters because his elite dribble handoff efficiency maps almost perfectly onto Golden State's core offensive action, because his rebounding directly addresses a real structural weakness, and because Shams' specific statistical citation, independently corroborated by Steph Curry's own detailed podcast comments, confirms this was a genuinely precise, system-driven pursuit rather than a broad market chase. Now here's what I'm watching next, and this is the next video, so hit subscribe. If Sabonis lands in the Bay, the very next question is exactly how Kerr distributes handoff and playmaking responsibilities between him and Draymond, and what specific assets Golden State attached to complete the deal. I've got a read on it that will surprise you. For now, comments, likes, subscribe, Dub Nation. The system finally has its perfect connector, Wild Summer.